A millionaire disguises himself for love. What he discovers shatters his world. Hello, everyone. Before we begin today's story, let me ask you something. If everything you had disappeared tomorrow, your money, your status, your lifestyle, who would still stand next to you? Before we continue, please take a moment to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new stories. It is quick, free, and it helps us continue sharing meaningful and thought-provoking content like this. And tell us, where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you. Now, let us begin. This is not just a story about a millionaire. It is a story about what happens when comfort quietly replaces connection, and how silence often reveals more truth than confrontation ever could. Let us return to our main character. Ethan Carter stands alone in front of a full-length mirror inside his high-rise apartment. Behind him, the city stretches endlessly, glowing with lights that carry his name in boardrooms and contracts across town. For years, this view has been his reward. Tonight, it feels like a question. He reaches for his wrist and slowly removes his watch. It is heavy, custom-made, and worth more than most people earn in months. He turns it over once in his hand, then places it gently into a drawer and closes it. For the first time in years, his wrist feels bare, and that feeling matters more than he expected. Ethan is a self-made millionaire in his mid-30s. He did not inherit his success. He built it. Every dollar came from risk, pressure, and long nights when failure was closer than comfort. But with success came something else: certainty. Wealth does not only buy convenience, it buys protection, it buys explanations, it buys forgiveness before mistakes are even made. And lately, Ethan has begun to wonder how much of his life is built on that protection. Across the room, his phone lights up. A message from his girlfriend. "Are you sure about this weekend?" Ethan reads the words carefully. She has always loved weekends. Dinners that do not list prices. Trips that feel spontaneous but never are. Rooms where everything is already prepared before you arrive. He does not blame her for that. But the question has been growing quietly inside him for months. Would she still choose me if all of this was gone? That question is why he sold the car she loved riding in. Why he told his board he would be unavailable for a while. Why he signed a short-term lease on a small one-bedroom apartment miles away from everything that made his life impressive. This is not a game. It is a decision. Ethan types back, "Yes, I just want to keep things simple." The reply takes longer this time. "Well, that will be an adjustment," she finally writes. Adjustment. The word settles heavily in his chest. He looks around the apartment one last time. The art on the walls, the silence that comes with space, the life that never asks him who he is without it. Discomfort does not change people. It reveals what they already value. Ethan grabs an old jacket hanging by the door. It is plain, warm, forgettable, exactly what he needs. He slips it on, picks up a small duffel bag, and pauses with his hand on the door. If she stays, he thinks, then I will know it was real. And if she does not, he does not finish the thought. The door closes softly behind him. Ethan Carter, the millionaire, remains inside that apartment. The man who steps into the hallway carries no proof of success, no armor, no safety net. Only a quiet hope that love, if it is real, will recognize him without the noise. And with that step, the test begins. Not of her heart alone, but of everything Ethan believes about connection, value, and truth. Ethan's new apartment is quiet in a way his penthouse never was. There is no skyline stretching across the windows, no elevator that opens directly into the living room, no silence padded by luxury, just a narrow space, a small kitchen with outdated appliances, and the distant sound of traffic reminding him that life here does not slow down for anyone. He drops his duffel bag by the door and stands still. This is the life he described to her. Not dramatic, not tragic, just small. He sits on the couch, elbows resting on his knees, hands loosely clasped together. For years, his days were measured in meetings and decisions that affected thousands of people. Now, his attention rests on something far simpler. How much space does a person actually need? His phone buzzes. "Did you find the place?" she asks. "Yes," Ethan replies. "It is modest, but it works." There is a pause. "You sound tired," she writes. "Are you okay?" "I am fine," he answers honestly. "I just want things to slow down for a while." Another pause. Longer this time. "Well," she finally responds, "I guess this will be an adjustment for both of us." Adjustment. That word again. Discomfort does not arrive loudly. It enters quietly, disguised as patience. The next evening, she visits for the first time. Ethan watches her take in the apartment the moment she steps inside. Her eyes move quickly, scanning corners, the ceiling, the furniture. She smiles, but it does not reach her eyes. "It is cozy," she says. He nods. That is one way to describe it. They sit down to eat takeout from a diner down the street. Burgers, fries, paper bags instead of plates designed for presentation. Ethan eats normally. She barely touches her food. Her phone remains face up on the table. "So," she says, glancing around, "how long do you think this phase will last?" Ethan looks at her. "Why does it need a timeline?" She laughs softly. "I'm just asking. You know I support you. I just did not expect things to change this quickly." Support, he realizes, often has conditions attached to it. Over the next few days, the differences become harder to ignore. They stop going to the places she loves. She hesitates before linking her arm with his in public. When friends invite them out, she finds reasons to decline. When she does join him, her attention drifts. Ethan notices the pattern. Not anger, not arguments. Distance. One afternoon, they meet at a small cafe near his apartment, the kind of place with handwritten menus and mismatched chairs. She looks around before sitting down. "Do we really have to come to places like this now?" she asks quietly. "There is nothing wrong with this place," Ethan says. "I know," she replies. "It is just not what I am used to." That sentence stays with him long after they leave. Discomfort does not demand explanations. It simply reveals priorities. That night, Ethan lies awake staring at the ceiling. Every interaction replays in his mind. The sighs, the glances, the way she speaks about before, as if it were a destination he owes her. This is the test, he reminds himself. Not a dramatic one. Not the kind that explodes all at once. The quiet kind. The kind that shows you who someone is when no one is watching. And slowly, something shifts inside him. Ethan realizes that what she misses is not laughter, or closeness, or him. She misses ease. She misses certainty. She misses a version of life that never asked her to adjust. And with that realization comes a truth that is difficult to accept. Some people do not leave when things fall apart. They leave when things become inconvenient. As the days pass, the distance between them grows, not through conflict, but through absence. And Ethan begins to understand that the hardest part of this experiment may not be what he discovers about her. It may be what he learns about himself. The invitation comes on a Thursday evening. Dinner with friends. She presents it casually, almost carefully, as if framing it the right way might soften what she already senses. A small gathering, she says. Nothing serious. Just people they both know. Ethan agrees. Not because he wants to go, but because he understands something important. Love is rarely tested in private. It is tested in public, when loyalty costs comfort, and choosing someone means being seen with them as they are. The restaurant sits downtown, polished, but not extravagant. The kind of place people choose when they want to appear successful, without drawing attention. When they walk in together, Ethan feels it immediately. Her hand slips from his arm. At the table, introductions are warm at first. Smiles, light conversation, familiar jokes. Ethan listens more than he speaks. He notices how often careers are mentioned, how easily money becomes the language everyone understands without saying the word itself. Someone turns to him. "So Ethan, what have you been up to lately?" He answers calmly. "I have been simplifying things." There is a brief pause. "Taking time off?" another person asks. "Something like that," he says. She looks down at her menu. When the waiter arrives, she orders quickly. A salad. No questions. No hesitation. Ethan notices because he knows her well enough to remember how much she loves pasta. This is not about appetite. Halfway through dinner, one of her friends pulls out a phone and scrolls through photos. A recent trip, a resort, bright sunlight reflecting off infinity pools and champagne glasses. "You would have loved it," the friend says, turning the screen toward her. "We should all go next time." She smiles, but her eyes flick briefly toward Ethan. "We have just been keeping things low-key," she says. The friend raises an eyebrow. "Really? That is new." Ethan does not speak. The check arrives and settles in the center of the table, like a quiet verdict. Everyone reaches for their wallets without thinking. Ethan does the same. She leans toward him and lowers her voice. "Maybe we should split it," she whispers. "Just to be practical." Practical. Love becomes practical when belief starts to fade. On the walk home, the silence stretches between them. "You could have said something," she finally says. "Said what?" Ethan asks. "That this is temporary," she replies. "That you are just figuring things out." Ethan stops walking. "Is that what you need people to believe?" he asks gently. She exhales, frustrated. "I just do not like feeling exposed." Exposed. That word stays with him long after they part ways. In the days that follow, the pattern repeats. She cancels plans. She avoids gatherings. When they do go out together, she dresses differently, more carefully, as if compensating for something invisible. She speaks often about other people, their promotions, their homes, their upgrades. Ethan listens. Social pressure does not shout. It whispers. It tells people what they should want, and punishes them quietly when they choose otherwise. One afternoon, while she showers in his apartment, her phone lights up on the coffee table. A message appears on the screen. "Miss seeing you. Let me know when you are free again." The name is familiar. Ethan does not touch the phone. He does not read further. He does not need more proof. Some betrayals are not acts. They are directions. A slow turning away that begins long before anyone admits it. Ethan sits back, understanding something that has been forming for weeks. This is no longer about patience. It is about alignment. And for the first time, he allows himself to consider the possibility that the distance growing between them is not a misunderstanding. It is a choice. As night settles in, Ethan looks around the small apartment that now feels more honest than anything he left behind. The disguise is working, but what it is revealing may change everything. By the fourth week, Ethan no longer needs confirmation. The changes are no longer subtle. They do not argue. They do not fight. They do not raise their voices. They simply stop meeting in the middle. It shows in the way she checks her reflection before leaving the apartment, adjusting her clothes as if preparing for an audience he is no longer part of. It shows in how she speaks more about what she used to have than what she has now. Most of all, it shows in what she no longer asks. She does not ask about his day. She does not ask how he is feeling. She asks when things will return to normal. One evening, she suggests attending a birthday gathering for one of her friends. "It will just be a few people," she says. "Nothing fancy." Ethan agrees, even though he understands what gatherings like this have become. They are not about celebration. They are about comparison. The apartment is high above the city, wrapped in glass and soft lighting. The kind of place that makes people stand a little straighter the moment they step inside. Conversations flow easily. Laughter rises and falls in practiced rhythms. Ethan stands beside her at first. Then, slowly, she drifts. At first it is only a few steps, then across the room, then into conversations where he is no longer included. When he approaches, the energy shifts, voices lower, smiles tighten. At one point, Ethan finds himself standing alone near the window, looking out at a view he once owned, without question. That is when he hears her voice behind him. "I just did not think it would feel like this," she says quietly, unaware of how close he is. "I mean, I care about him, but everything feels smaller now." Someone responds, but Ethan does not hear the words. He does not need to. He does not turn around. He does not interrupt. He does not react. Clarity does not require confrontation. On the ride home, she is unusually talkative. "You were very quiet tonight," she says. "Are you upset?" "I am fine," Ethan replies. She exhales. "I just wish you would try harder. For us." "For us," he repeats softly. "Yes," she says. "I know this phase is important to you, but it is not easy for me either." Ethan looks out the window as the city lights pass by. That night, sleep does not come. Instead, Ethan sits at the small kitchen table, the room lit by a single lamp. He thinks about the man he was when this began, certain, desired, surrounded by people who agreed with him easily. And then he thinks about the man he is now, stripped of status, stripped of explanation, left with only his presence, the version of himself he hoped she would choose. The next morning, Ethan stops softening the truth. When she suggests an expensive restaurant, he says no. When she hints at a weekend trip, he explains he cannot afford it right now. When she asks when things will go back to normal, he answers honestly, "This is my normal." Each time, he watches her reaction. The forced smile, the quick nod, the way her eyes drift away. One afternoon, she cancels their plans at the last minute. "I forgot I promised to meet someone," she says. "I will call you later." She does not. That evening, Ethan sits alone on the couch, the apartment quiet except for the sound of traffic outside. He does not feel anger. He does not feel panic. He feels clarity. This is no longer a test he is running. The answers have been given, not in words, but in distance. And Ethan understands something that cannot be undone. Some people do not leave because love disappears. They leave because effort becomes visible. And with that realization, the space between them becomes undeniable. Not loud, not dramatic, just final. The moment does not arrive with noise. There is no argument, no raised voice, no scene made in public. It arrives quietly, the way most truths do. On an ordinary afternoon, Ethan finishes helping a neighbor carry boxes down the narrow hallway of his apartment building. It is the kind of small, unremarkable favor that has become normal in this life. His hands smell faintly of dust and cardboard as he steps back outside. His phone vibrates. A message from her. "I will be busy tonight. Do not wait up." No explanation. No apology. Ethan reads the message once, then again. Something about the wording feels different, final, as if a decision has already been made somewhere he is no longer included. He stands there for a moment, then turns down the street instead of heading home. He does not plan it. He simply walks. A few blocks away is a cafe she used to love before keeping things low-key became necessary. It is warm inside, softly lit, familiar. Through the front window, Ethan sees her immediately. She is not alone. She sits across from a man Ethan recognizes without effort. Someone from her social circle, well-dressed, relaxed, comfortable in a way that suggests this is not a first meeting. They are laughing. Not the polite laughter she has shared with Ethan lately. This is unguarded, easy, the kind that happens when no one is measuring themselves. Ethan stops outside, unseen. The man says something. She leans in slightly, resting her hand on the table. Her phone lies face down beside her. The same phone that never seems to leave her hand when she is with Ethan. Then the man reaches into his pocket and places something on the table. Car keys. She looks at them, then at him. Her expression changes, not dramatically, but unmistakably. Her eyes light up. In that moment, everything becomes clear. Ethan does not feel shock. He does not feel anger. He feels understanding. Betrayal is not always a moment. Sometimes it is a pattern that finally becomes visible. He turns away before they notice him. That evening, she returns late. The apartment door opens quietly. She pauses when she sees Ethan sitting on the couch, the room lit by a single lamp. "You are still awake," she says carefully. "I was waiting," Ethan replies. She sets her purse down. "I told you I would be busy." "You did," he says. "You did not say where." She sighs. "Why does it matter?" Ethan looks at her fully now, without hope softening the edges. "I saw you," he says calmly. The words hang between them. Her expression shifts for just a second, long enough. "You followed me?" she asks, defensive. "No," Ethan replies. "I stopped guessing." Silence fills the room. She straightens. "I am not doing anything wrong." "I did not say you were," Ethan answers. "I said I saw you." She looks away. "I am just keeping my options open." Options. Ethan nods slowly. "So that is what I am now?" he asks. "An option?" She does not answer. Instead, she says the truth she has been circling for weeks. "This is not the life I signed up for." Ethan stands. "I know," he says quietly. "That is why this ends here." Her eyes widen. "You are serious?" "Yes," he says. "I am done pretending. About money. About us." She scoffs. "You changed." Ethan shakes his head. "No," he says. "I removed the noise. You made your choice." He picks up his duffel bag and moves toward the door. "You are making a mistake," she calls after him. Ethan pauses, hand on the frame. "No," he says softly. "I just stopped making one." He steps into the hallway and lets the door close behind him. Outside, the air feels cooler, lighter. The truth did not shatter him. It clarified everything. And for the first time since this began, Ethan does not wonder what might have been. He knows. Ethan does not go far that night. He walks through the city without direction, letting the noise fade into something distant and manageable. For the first time in weeks, he is not measuring his words, his reactions, or his presence. He is simply moving. Eventually, he stops at a small diner that never closes. Vinyl booths, warm lights, a place where no one knows his name or expects anything from him. He sits by the window and orders coffee. And for the first time since this began, he allows himself to feel what he has been holding back. Not anger, not heartbreak, relief. The truth no longer needs his attention. It has finished speaking. The next morning, Ethan wakes in a modest hotel room. The duffel bag rests unopened near the door. His phone lies face down on the nightstand. He knows what will be waiting. Messages, questions, confusion. Instead of checking them, he showers, dresses, and sits quietly on the edge of the bed. Then he makes one call. By early afternoon, the disguise is over. Ethan walks into the downtown office building he once stepped away from. The security guard recognizes him instantly and straightens. "Welcome back, Mr. Carter." Ethan nods. Inside, nothing has changed. The glass walls, the quiet efficiency, the people who move aside without thinking. Power returns easily. That is what surprises him most. Later that day, an article begins to circulate. Short, factual, unemotional. It mentions Ethan Carter's return after a brief personal leave, his companies, his net worth, a photograph taken just hours earlier. Across town, she reads it while sitting with friends. Her phone vibrates repeatedly. Notifications stack faster than she can clear them. When she opens the article, the color drains from her face. "This has to be a mistake," she whispers. Someone leans closer. "Wait, Ethan Carter? That Ethan Carter?" Silence spreads across the table. Back in the office, Ethan sits with his leadership team. They speak carefully, respectfully, unsure which version of him they are meeting. "I needed clarity," Ethan tells them simply. "I found it." That evening, his phone finally rings. Her name. He watches it light up, then sets the phone down again. A message follows. "I did not know. You should have told me." Ethan exhales slowly before replying. "You saw exactly what I wanted you to see." An hour later, she appears at the hotel. When Ethan opens the door, she looks at him as if the ground beneath her has shifted. "This changes everything," she says quickly. "You were testing me. That was not fair." Ethan listens without interrupting. "You let me believe you were struggling," she continues. "You embarrassed me." "I was struggling," Ethan replies calmly, "just not financially." She steps closer. "We can fix this. We can start over. I never stopped caring." Ethan looks at her, searching for the man he was when he would have believed that. He does not find him. "What you cared about never disappeared," he says. "I did." He reaches into his bag and takes out the old jacket, the one he wore the night he left everything behind. He places it gently on the table between them. "This is who I asked you to choose," he says. "Not my money, not my name." She stares at the jacket, silent. "So this is it?" she asks quietly. Ethan nods. "Yes," he says. "This is the truth." As the door closes behind her, Ethan feels no triumph, only calm. The reveal did not change the outcome. It only confirmed it. Power returned. But the choice did not. And that is how Ethan knows he made the right one. The city welcomes Ethan back as if nothing ever changed. Meetings resume. Decisions are made. His name moves quietly through rooms where outcomes are decided long before anyone speaks. On the surface, everything looks exactly as it did before he walked away. But Ethan notices what is different. He no longer enjoys the attention. Power feels lighter now, almost distant, like something he carries rather than something that defines him. A week later, Ethan attends a charity event he committed to months ago. The ballroom is filled with familiar faces, polished conversations, and the soft clink of glasses. People greet him warmly, some with admiration, others with curiosity. "Good to see you back," someone says. Ethan smiles politely and moves on. Then he sees her. She stands near the edge of the room, perfectly composed, laughing a little too brightly. When her eyes meet his, her expression freezes for just a moment, before determination replaces surprise. She walks toward him. "Ethan," she says, lowering her voice, "we need to talk." "This is not the place," he replies calmly. "I know," she says, "but you cannot just disappear and pretend we never mattered." Ethan looks around. People nearby pretend not to listen, but no one is truly distracted. "This is exactly the place," he says quietly. "You wanted to be seen. Now you are." Her jaw tightens. "You set me up to fail." "No," Ethan answers. "I removed what was protecting us from the truth." She shakes her head. "That is not fair." Ethan nods slowly. "Truth rarely is." For a moment, her confidence wavers. "I loved you," she says. Ethan meets her eyes. "You loved what my life gave you." The words are not sharp. They are not cruel. They are simply accurate. She steps back, suddenly aware of the room, of the eyes, of the image she is now trying to maintain. "This did not have to end like this," she whispers. Ethan exhales. "It ended long before this moment. I just needed silence to see it." He steps away, leaving her standing alone in a space she once navigated easily. Later that night, Ethan stands on the balcony of his penthouse, looking out at the city lights. The view is the same one he once believed explained his worth. Now it feels smaller. He understands something clearly. Power attracts attention. Peace attracts alignment. And for the first time, Ethan chooses peace without hesitation. He does not feel like he won. He feels like he stopped losing time. The days that follow are quieter than Ethan expects. Not empty, not lonely. Just quiet in a way that allows thought to settle. He returns fully to work, but something has shifted. Meetings still happen. Decisions are still made. Numbers still move. Yet the urgency is gone. The need to impress has faded. For the first time, Ethan is not performing his life. He notices how often people speak when he enters a room, and how rarely they listen to one another. He notices how praise comes easily when power is visible, and how silence follows when it is not. Once, he would have mistaken that for respect. Now, he understands the difference. One evening, instead of attending another event, Ethan takes a walk through a neighborhood he never paid attention to before. Small shops, dimly lit cafes, ordinary people living unremarkable lives. And somehow, that feels grounding. He stops at a community center, tucked between two aging buildings. The sign is faded. The windows glow warmly from inside. Laughter drifts out as people stack chairs and clean up after a long day. A woman near the door struggles to lift a heavy box. Ethan steps forward instinctively. "I can help." She smiles, relieved. "Thank you, that would be great." They carry the box together inside. "Do you volunteer here?" she asks. "Sometimes," Ethan answers honestly. She nods. "We appreciate people who stay." The word stays with him. Stay. Over the next few days, Ethan finds himself returning, not because he needs redemption, but because the space asks nothing of him. No resume, no reputation, no explanation. Here, he is not Ethan Carter, the millionaire. He is just Ethan. One afternoon, his phone vibrates while he is organizing supplies. A message from her. "I miss you. I miss us. I made a mistake." Ethan reads it slowly. There is no rush in his chest. No temptation, no anger, only distance. He types back, carefully. "I hope you find what you are looking for. It just cannot be with me." He places the phone face down and does not pick it up again. That night, back in his penthouse, Ethan opens the drawer where his watch still rests. He takes it out, studies it, then places it back. Instead, he reaches for the old jacket, the simple one. He steps onto the balcony as the city stretches beneath him, loud and ambitious, full of people chasing the next proof that they matter. For the first time, Ethan does not feel the need to compete with that noise. He understands something now. Love is not proven when everything is easy. It is revealed when nothing is being offered in return. The disguise did not only show him who could not stay. It stripped away the version of himself that believed he needed to be impressive to be chosen. As the night settles in, Ethan breathes deeply. He is no longer testing anyone. He is choosing himself. And that choice, quiet and uncelebrated, feels stronger than anything money ever gave him. Morning arrives quietly. Sunlight filters through the glass walls of Ethan's penthouse, softer than he remembers. The city wakes below him, unaware of the shift that has taken place in his life. Ethan stands by the window with a cup of coffee, wearing the same simple jacket he has grown used to. The suits are still there. The watch still rests in its drawer. Nothing has disappeared. But nothing controls him anymore. He thinks back to the night this all began. The mirror, the bare wrist, the question he was afraid to answer. Would she love me without the money? Now he knows. And surprisingly, the answer no longer hurts. Later that day, Ethan walks through one of his office buildings without announcing himself. People look up, surprised, then smile. He stops to talk, asks questions he never had time for before, listens without checking the time. At lunch, he eats at a small cafe nearby. No one recognizes him. No one treats him differently. And for the first time in years, that feels like freedom. His phone vibrates once in his pocket. A business update. Nothing personal. No messages from her. No apologies. No last attempts. Ethan finishes his meal and leaves the cafe unhurried. That evening, he returns to the community center. The volunteers greet him by name now, not because of his success, but because he shows up. He helps stack chairs, laughs at small jokes, listens to stories that have nothing to do with money or ambition. As he prepares to leave, the woman he met earlier smiles at him. "See you next time," she says. Ethan nods. "Yes, you will." Walking back to his car, something unfamiliar settles into place. Peace. Not the kind that comes from winning. Not the kind that comes from being right. The kind that comes from alignment. From knowing that the life you are living finally matches the person you have become. Ethan understands now that the disguise was never truly about testing love. It was about removing the noise, about stripping away the layers until only the truth remained. And the truth is simple. Love that depends on comfort is not love. Loyalty that disappears under pressure is not loyalty. And a life built on appearances will always collapse when tested. As the city lights come on one by one, Ethan drives home, not to escape the world, but to re-enter it on his own terms. He no longer needs to test anyone, because he has already learned the most important lesson of all. Money did not shatter his world. It revealed the truth that set him free. And sometimes, losing the wrong person is exactly what it takes to finally find yourself.